What's happening? Welcome to another episode of Shop Life. Today we're just going to be pressing some neck labels into these t-shirts. I got a bunch of t-shirts in, got to get ready for the next store opening. So we're going to be putting all the labels into these Supacolor Active t-shirts. I want to walk you guys through the process, show you guys how I use my Heat Press Nation Signature Series cap press to do all the neck labels. Let's get into it. All right, first things first, I keep all my neck labels, I cut them down and then I put them in these little bins and boxes right here because I got a drawer full of them. Every single size gets their own little bin, so I could just cut them out, put them in here, and then when I'm pressing, I'm just pulling straight out of this thing right here. Now the next thing, Supacolor Active t-shirts. These are the shirts that I use right here. Hopefully you guys could see it. I don't know if it's in focus, but that's the tag. These are tearaway labels right here. You could rip these out and I'm gonna press mine in. So all you do is they're perforated. Pull it. That's it. Next, these are my labels right here. Just has the size, has my logo, and it has my website. That's all that's on there. There's gonna be people like, don't you gotta put this and don't you gotta put that? You put whatever you want on your labels. This right here is what I put on my label. If you wanted to do the same thing, go for it. If you didn't want to do the same thing, you don't got to do what I do. But for myself, this is what I do. I have my logo, I have my size, and I have my website. The reason I only put this stuff on there is because nobody is buying the t-shirt for this little label right here. Nobody cares. And also, nobody really looks at the wash instructions on t-shirts. It doesn't matter how many times you say, wash it inside out, hang dry, blah, 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 do all this stuff, cold water this, blah, blah, blah. Nobody listens to that stuff. T-shirts just get thrown into the laundry like everything else. There's some people that take good care of their stuff and there's people that just go based on convenience. So for myself, having all of the wash instructions and care instructions on the shirts, it's cool, it's nice to have, but at the same exact time, nobody really listens to that stuff. So in all my years, what I started doing was just dumbing down my label and it just looks like this now. Logo, size, website, that's it. If you wanted to put more, if you wanted to do things the legal way, if you wanted to do whatever you wanted to with your own t-shirts, go for it. You do not have to. Explain your reasoning to me in the comments on why you do what you do for your own brand. It means nothing to me because I'm not invested into your brand. You do what you feel comfortable with. Like I said, you don't have to do what I do. I'm just showing you guys what I do. So once again, this is a 2x2 label, 2 inches by 2 inches. Do you have to do 2 inches by 2 inches? No, you don't. You can do 1 inch by 2 inch. You can do 3 inch, 4 inch. You do what you feel comfortable doing. Mine just feels right by putting 2x2, the little circle logo, the size is big, you could see it, and then the website's very tiny, you could see it also. Do I think anybody in their right mind is gonna look at this label and say, man, let me go to bigbrando.com? No, I just put that on there so people know where they can get it from. If somebody bought a t-shirt as a gift, and they gifted it to somebody. Whoever bought it from me obviously went to bigbrando.com to buy the t-shirt already. But if they bought it as a gift and they gave it to their cousin or their brother or whoever, they could look at it and be like, oh, I like this shirt. What else does this guy have? Chances are they're gonna ask whoever gave them the gift anyways, where'd you get this shirt from? But I put it in there. But do I think people are actually gonna go to the website based on this? Who knows? It's just a nice to have. It's something I do. You don't have to do it. The reasoning that I'm doing it probably doesn't make sense to most. Probably doesn't even make sense to anybody really. But for me, this is what I'm doing, all right? 2x2. This is cut off of a big gang sheet from Supacolor. Anytime I have extra space on a gang sheet, I'm throwing a bunch of little size labels in. And fun fact, I like to use the popular sizes the most and duplicate those. I don't do a lot of smalls and mediums, so I'm not gonna put a bunch of smalls and mediums on there, but I do sell a lot of large, extra large, and XXL. So I'm gonna double up and triple up, maybe 2 or 3 larges, 2 or 3 2Xs, 2 or 3 XXLs, and I'm getting 100 transfers. So that way I always have a ton of size labels ready to go. I don't sell a lot of smalls, mediums, or 3Xs, so I'm not gonna double up on those sizes because it's kind of wasted. I only use a few of those, but I use a lot of large, extra large, XX, you get me. Let's get into pressing this thing up now. All right, this is my Heat Press Nation Signature Series Cap Press. This is the one that has these removable bottom platens. This right here is just the t-shirt sleeve. That's all it is. I put it on here because this rubber, it starts to like give a lot of friction when you're trying to slide the shirt on and off. I like to have a piece of material covering the rubber. Is it needed? No. Does it make my life a little bit easier? Yes. So on my other presses, I have the base covers that feel like t-shirt material. I like that feeling. I don't like pressing directly on the rubber. So that's why I have a t-shirt sleeve slid over this thing. Like I said, it's just rubber under here. T-shirt sleeve goes over, makes sliding the shirt on and off a lot easier for myself. This right here is a chopped up piece of Teflon sheet. That's all it is. I cut it so it could fit this. I have heat resistant tape on the top, and I have 2 little refrigerator magnet clips on both sides. This right here is only to buffer out the static. If I didn't have this, then the backing of film transfers, this is film, gets stuck to the top if the humidity in the room is crazy. It creates all kinds of static. So if you don't control the humidity in your workspace, you might experience a lot of static with film transfers. That's just the nature of film and basically how static is created around here. So there's a ton of static here. That's why I have Teflon sheets on all of my presses, because of the static. It's not for the heat, it's not for scorch marks, it's not for none of that. It's only to buffer out the static. All right, this is how I lay the shirt down. Everybody always says, hey man, you're gonna stretch out the collar by doing this. This platen right here is way smaller than the human head. Somebody's head is gonna stretch out this collar more than this little tiny platen right here. This thing is only maybe 3 inches by 5 inches. The human head is way bigger than that. Pre-press, I'm just tapping it down. I'm not locking it down. Just want to flatten it out. And I also just want to get all the steam out. Here's the label. Place that in. Clamp it down. These are Supacolor wearable transfers. So the press is set up for 320 degrees, 15 seconds. Hot peel, done. Try to give you a different angle here. Once again, I'm putting this part of the collar all the way over the edge, just like that. And then I'm bringing down the rest of the collar. So this is nice, smooth, and flat. Tap it down. Here's the transfer. I'm laying it right there. Bring the press all the way down. This Heat Press Nation Signature Series press is an auto open. There it is. Hot peel. I'm trying to give you a close-up of what it looks like. It's laid in there. Small text looks good. I use the wearable transfers because those are the transfers I use on the outside of the t-shirt and they hold up really well. So since this has tiny text for the actual label, I want to make sure it holds up good too. So that's why I use the wearable transfers and nothing else. Rip the label out. Pre-press. Label goes in. Boom. Here's a fun fact. That trash can didn't make sense for it to be back there, so it makes sense to be a lot closer to me. So that's why we have this little skinny trash can, so we can move it around where it makes sense to us and not necessarily to anybody else. We'll do another one here. See, if the trash can was still here, I would have to go over here, move the trash can closer to you, make your production process work for you. Trash can doesn't make sense to be right here in the way, but during production it does. When it's not in use, I put it back over there where it's not bothering nobody. Oh, let me show you this too. Just to show you that the collar's not all stretched out. Hopefully this is in focus. Collar goes back to normal. Like I said, this bottom platen is way smaller than a human head. When you're sliding this over your head to put the shirt on, your head's stretching out the collar more than this little bottom platen is right here. All right, since I got the hat press right here set up, I just wanted to show you guys something. Somebody asked me, why is it important to have these removable bottom platens? This is why. So if you're actually pressing hats on here, you're gonna load this up, pull the sweatband out. You're gonna load it up. You're gonna pull down the tension lever right here on this side. See this little gap? Can you see the flex in that? This right here is what causes wrinkles whenever you press on stuff. If you have this gap right here, this hat's gonna get wrinkled up when you press it down because it's not a smooth, flat pressing surface. So obviously this bottom platen right here isn't made for this hat. So you take this one off, then we go back to this one, the littler one. Slide it on. Sweatband is out. Pull down on the tension lever. No more gap. Smooth pressing surface. This right here won't wrinkle. Press this down, it's gonna press the actual hat and not cause any wrinkling or creasing in this hat because there's a smooth pressing surface. This is why it's important to have something with these removable platens that come in different sizes. So then that way you press exactly what you need. Every hat is different. So this hat's gonna be different than the next hat. So all of these different sizes are made for the different types of hats that you press on. That's why this is important. This press, very inexpensive compared to the other ones that do the same exact thing in this field. And this press right here comes with all of these. It's not something that you gotta buy extras of. They come with all of them. All right, now that you've seen what I use my hat press for pressing on neck labels and using it to do trucker hats and regular hats and pressing transfers onto hats or patches, now you understand exactly why I chose to use this press right here. If you wanted to check it out for yourself, the link for it is in the description box. I think it's a good thing to have in your arsenal if you are doing hats and doing neck labels. Makes life a lot easier. You don't need it to do that. Like pressing in neck labels, you could just use a small little piece of mouse pad. You could get something like this where it's like a regular mouse pad and you cut it out, and then you could actually put this under the shirt, press it with your regular heat press. A lot time consuming doing it this way, but it can be done. For myself, it was just easier to get a cap press because I was already pressing patches on hats, and we do a lot of trucker hats, especially pressing all of like the Supacolor hat wear transfers onto trucker hats. Easy call for us, or even HTV on hats. So having a hat press made sense for us. But there's gonna be a lot of people like, well, what about like the 6-panel hats and this and that and things of that nature? We have an embroidery machine for that. I don't like to press wool and acrylic hats. That's usually what the standard 6-panel snapbacks are made out of, is wool or acrylic. They do weird shit underneath the heat. So I like to just embroider on wool and acrylic hats. If I am heat pressing something, I wanna make sure it's polyester or cotton poly blend, because it reacts under the heat a lot better than wool and acrylic. I just had this conversation with the homie Quick from Hello Westy, so shout out to Quick because we were just talking about this recently. So I wanted to put it in the video that whenever I'm heat pressing on hats, I like to make sure that the material is gonna react well under the heat. And in my experience, cotton, polyester, cotton poly blends do the best. For the people that are gonna ask about that foam trucker that I showed, that's made by AS Color. That's AS Color's foam trucker hat. You could check it out there. I'm not affiliated with them, but those are the foam truckers that I choose to use. For the truckers that aren't made out of foam, but have the mesh backing, I like using the Yupong 5-panel trucker hat because it is a cotton poly front, but it does have a higher crown. But that hat does perfect under the heat. And that hat is actually the one that I use the big bottom platen for, because it does have a bigger surface space, and this hugs the hat way better than the smaller one. So like I said, having all of the different interchangeable bottom platens makes sense to me, the creator, because I want to make sure I want to minimize the gap. Now, let's say that your cap press doesn't have these. You can always cut out more mouse pads and stuff them in the hat to fill in the gap, so that way you don't have any gap in between the bottom platen and the hat, so there is no bounce in it. And if you didn't have mouse pads, you could even fold up a towel and put the towel inside, and then just something to fill in the gap. You want good pressure all the way around, but you want a solid pressing surface, if that makes sense to you. Hopefully you guys got something out of this video right here. Appreciate everybody for rocking with the shop life vlogs. This is just basically me doing stuff in the shop and showing you guys what I'm doing and trying to give you guys as much information as possible, all right? If you guys got any questions, leave it in the comments. Follow me on Instagram, Big Brando TV. Catch you guys on the next one, man. Yeah.